Unit 2, Child Psychology, The Genius Within, page 20. Extend the topic, Part A.
So I think that we can appreciate how truly special these children are. But I have to ask you whether the situation is as positive as it sounds so far. I mean, aren't there some drawbacks to being gifted?
Well, yes, John, there are. For instance, the high energy levels that many gifted children have are extremely difficult for many parents to deal with day in and day out. I've talked to quite a few parents who are simply exhausted as they try to meet the demands of their gifted child.
I can imagine how hard that could be. You also mentioned that some gifted children are perfectionists. Does that cause trouble for either the child or others around them?
Absolutely, John. Although perfectionist tendencies can drive gifted children to greatness, they can also place a great deal of stress and pressure on the child, as well as on friends and family.
Exactly why are people around the child affected?
It's because the child can become quite critical of others.
Oh, I see. The child expects others to be perfect also.
That's right. So while having a gifted child is wonderful in some ways, it can be quite challenging in others.
Unit 3, Sociology, Social Status, Flaunting Your Success, page 23. Build your vocabulary. 1.
Advertise. To advertise means to bring a product to the public's attention in order to encourage people to buy it.
2.
Affluent. Affluent means having plenty of money or possessions.
3.
Attaining. Attaining means reaching or acquiring something.
4.
Consumption. Consumption is the act of buying and using products.
5.
Global. Global means affecting the entire world.
6.
Hierarchies. Hierarchies can be described as systems that organize people into higher and lower ranks or status.
7.
Iconic. Iconic means being famous for representing an important idea.
8.
Income. Income refers to the money a person generates from a job.
9.
Reflecting. Reflecting means indicating or being a sign of a particular situation, idea, or feeling.
10.
Status symbols. Status symbols are the things that people do or own that indicate how successful they are.
Unit 3, Sociology, Social Status, Flaunting Your Success, page 25. Try it out.
There are a few societies around the world where everyone has equal status. In the great majority of societies, though, there exists some kind of social hierarchy, sometimes referred to as social stratification. That's social stratification. stratification. Got that? This stratification means that those occupying high status have more power and privilege than others. Their opinions, ways of thinking, values, needs, and feelings are thought to have more value. This situation can lead to what's called status conflict, where people lower down the hierarchy feel that the inequality has become too great, that they have too little recognition, worth, or authority, and too small a share in resources. Essentially, this is a reaction to a kind of injustice and discrimination in favor of the status quo, which is the existing situation. In other words, those who are lower in the hierarchy want change and may be prepared to fight for their own values.
Unit 3, Sociology, Social Status, Flaunting Your Success, pages 26 and 27. Listen for main ideas and listen for details.
Let's continue our discussion of social hierarchies by talking about how people achieve status in society and how they try to show it off. Now, whether we like it or not, our status in society depends on things like class, education, wealth, and recognition of success. And it is society who forms a general consensus of what these things signify, what value they have. Of course, some elements of our status, such as social class, we can't control, although it's sometimes possible to work your way up the social pecking order. Other aspects of our status, like wealth and professional success, we can control, at least to some degree. And it's these elements, those which we can control, that I'd like to concentrate on today. Let's look first at the concept of success as it relates to establishing our social status. In most societies, the bottom line is that people generally want to be associated with success. Why? Because it makes them valued in society, and it gives them power, influence, and prestige. So what's the quickest way to get this power, do you think? Through attaining wealth, of course. The one thing within everyone's grasp, regardless of their roots. Now, because wealth and success are so important to people, so too are the symbols that signify those things. These so-called status symbols, usually possessions or activities, are the things we use to measure a person's social or economic prestige. But for social or economic prestige to be measured, it needs to be noticed, right? Which brings me to conspicuous consumption, the different ways we consume in order to show people our wealth, and not because we really need the things we buy. You see, we don't just want to be affluent and successful. We want others to know we're affluent and successful. And status symbols allow us to advertise our success. We're all familiar with the big house in the exclusive residential district with the expensive BMW parked in the driveway, right? Conspicuous consumption is about showing off our wealth and success. So, let's now look at how we do this. Through what symbols do we try to show our status? Well, there's fashion, for a start. The idea of using clothes to signal social status has a long history. However, while in the past, status was indicated by who was permitted to wear what, today it's indicated by the cost of a person's clothing, which of course is why designer labels have assumed almost iconic status in global 21st century culture. A trend originating largely in the fashion houses of Europe around a century ago. The idea is, if you can afford Dior, Chanel, or Vivienne Westwood, then you must be a high flyer. Okay, how many of you have heard of trophy wives or trophy husbands? Anyone? How we sort of acquire husbands or wives like we acquire trophies, to act as symbols of status. Well, it seems that trophy kids are the new indicators of social status, offspring who say something about their parents. Let's have a look at this idea now. You know, if you look back at census data over recent decades, richer has tended to mean fewer kids. As the average incomes of families have increased, the smaller those families have become. This is changing though, and recent data suggests that the better off you are, the more kids you'll have. Why this change? Because, like I said, kids are a great way of signaling status. Perhaps they go to the most prestigious schools, enjoy elite sports, and so on. Their parents may be able to talk about the yachting or horse riding championships their children have won, or perhaps their entry into Harvard or Yale. The point? These kids are symbols to the outside world that their parents have made it. Now, as we've seen, status symbols have a lot to do with ownership and the idea of conspicuous consumption, being able to show off your wealth. But there's a new idea now being talked about called status skills. The idea that by mastering certain skills, we acquire status. TV shows are reflecting and probably driving this new obsession. And more organizations are jumping on the bandwagon here. They're trying to meet demand by offering professionally run courses in areas such as cooking, dancing, gardening, winemaking, scuba diving. And vacations are increasingly selling on the basis of skills rather than thrills, with companies building in opportunities to develop often exotic or traditionally elite skills such as horse riding, parachuting, bungee jumping, and other fun stuff like that. Now, acquiring these skills is one thing. However, their value as status symbols is only realized through what's called storytelling. In other words, through showing off what you've learned by talking about it, through creating opportunities for those you want to impress or influence to see your skills. That's what brings the status.
Unit 3, Sociology, Social Status, Flaunting Your Success, page 28. Talk about the topic, parts A and B.
So based on the lecture, I guess you could say I've got status. Check out my designer purse.
No, Molly. It's imitation status, since your bag is a total knockoff.
Who cares? It's gorgeous. Where did you get it?
Oh, no. Hey, can we please focus on the lecture, all right? We have a lot to review. So, all right, here's one key idea. Conspicuous consumption. Can anyone give some examples of some conspicuous consumption that they've seen?
Yeah, a couple summers ago, I worked for a family in Chicago as a nanny, and they had this brand new bright red Mercedes-Benz, and the husband would wash it in the driveway like every single weekend.
Well, at least he did it himself.
No, that's not my point. My point is that he wanted everyone to see that it was his, so he'd polish it for like an hour.
So the car was his status symbol.
Exactly. I have another example too, which is a little bit different. So I went to this wedding reception last June. It was friends of my sister's, and it was this beautiful outdoor event, but they just served us so much food, like steak and lobster and chocolate torte and Italian sorbet.
I am so jealous of you.
No, it was gross because it was more food than any person could possibly eat, you know? And it just all went to waste. It was just dumped straight into the garbage.
So you're saying they were trying to show their guests how wealthy they were, right?
Exactly.
Oh.
And you don't even want to ask how much the bride's dress costs.
No, we don't. So.
Okay.
Unit 3, Sociology, Social Status, Flaunting Your Success. Take the unit test. Listen to each question. Circle the letter of the correct answer. 1.
In what order does the speaker talk about the topic of social status?
2.
Which element of social status are we unable to control?
3.
What is the relationship between success and power?
4.
The speaker says that wealth is within everyone's grasp. What does he mean?
5.
What is the best definition of conspicuous consumption?
6.
What does the speaker see trophy wives and trophy husbands as?
7.
Which situation best describes American families?
8.
Which of these is probably a status skill?
9.
Which of these illustrates storytelling?
10.
What is the main idea of the lecture?
Unit 3, Sociology, Social Status, Flaunting Your Success, Page 30. Extend the topic. Part A.
Dr. Boyle, why do scientists think that there might be a connection between social status and lifespan?
Monkeys, Martin. Like us, monkeys live in very hierarchical societies, and researchers have found a strong link between their position in the hierarchy and their health. Those further up the hierarchy are generally healthier and therefore live longer.
And research has indicated the same for human societies?
That's right. A major study of government employees, for instance, found that those lower down the pecking order, the clerks, messengers, and so on, were much more likely to suffer heart disease than those at the top.
Is there a direct relationship between health and status? I mean, is a person with a lot of status a lot healthier?
Yes, that seems to be the case. And even a small difference in status can have a pretty major impact on health. For example, would you believe that people with doctorate degrees live longer than those with master's degrees?
Whoa, really?
Really? Or that individuals who are awarded Nobel Prizes live longer than those who are merely nominated. 1.4 years longer to be precise. And that gap increases by another 8 months when the comparison is between winners and nominees from the same country.
Huh. So, presumably, the prize money they won was the reason for the better health and longer life, right?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But apparently, the winning made the difference, not the money, research has found.
Fascinating stuff, but why? Have researchers gotten to the bottom of this?
Unit 4. Business. The Art of Marketing in a Global Culture. Page 33. Build your vocabulary. 1.
People's ideas about what is cool, fashionable, and desirable are starting to converge. Today, everybody seems to want the same products, no matter where in the world they live.
2.
Today's sophisticated technology enables business to be done at speeds and across distances not possible 50 years ago.
3.
Instead of selling their entire product line in every country they do business in, most companies sell only some of their products in any one country.
4.
Increased sales are almost guaranteed when marketing campaigns use celebrities. Companies pay these individuals large sums of money because they know they'll get it back through sales.
5.
Many major cities around the world are becoming increasingly homogeneous. For instance, people dress the same, listen to similar music, admire the same sports heroes, and use similar technology.
6.
Marketing campaigns have to be sensitive to ideological differences between cultures. Companies know, for example, that a culture's politics and social values can affect how people respond to a product.
7.
Most of what we know about products, people, and places we learn through the media via stories, advertisements, and photographs.
8.
Today, environmentally conscious leaders and businesses are trying to promote the idea that greener is cooler. As a result, things like fuel-efficient cars and solar-powered houses are gaining popularity.
9.
When a product has universal appeal, it often becomes a global success. The appeal of Coca-Cola, for example, crosses all cultural and class barriers.
10.
Although it is often said that an image is worth 1,000 words, advertisements frequently use verbal messages to sell their products.
Unit 4. Business. The Art of Marketing in a Global Culture. Page 35. Try it out.
Now, it's estimated that email marketing spending will reach $1.1 billion by 2010. In that time, B2C spending, business-to-consumer spending, will increase by 5% annually to $897 million. And B2B spending, that is, business-to-business spending, will increase by 2.4% annually to $206 million. So there's a lot of money invested in email marketing, and that reflects the importance companies place on it. After all, it reaches international as well as national markets and is quite cost-effective. In fact, it's estimated that 80% of retailers use regular customer emails to build customer relationships. But how effective is email marketing? Well, it depends on whose statistics you use. One organization claims that of 44.4 million messages sent, 95.6% were delivered. However, only 28.9% were actually opened. Apparently, making simple changes can increase success rates by more than 50%. For example, increasing the number of images and making the layout style more attractive. Also, business-to-business emails are more effective if the company or brand name is in the subject line.
Unit 4, Business, the Art of Marketing in a Global Culture. Page 38. Talk about the topic. Parts A and B.
Talk about globalization. Look at us.
Oh, you mean all these things we've got?
Right. We're all from different places, but we're so similar in terms of the stuff that we have.
I guess that's the concept of homogenization he was talking about.
Not only the things we buy, but also the music we all know. Like, we all listen to the same musicians.
Right.
Even so, we're still pretty different culturally. And that's an important concept for business, right? Like he said in the lecture, a lot of things are universal icons. But do they have local appeal?
I don't know, I think most modern cultures are similar, like Japan, Korea, the US, the UK. I think most modern societies are starting to want the same things.
Yeah.
Like, say McDonald's, it's become popular in so many places, even in Jordan, where I'm from, mainly because it promotes such fast-paced living.
Hey, wouldn't it be cool to do research for a global marketing firm? I mean, you'd get to travel all around the world, studying local people's tastes and behaviors.
That would be so much fun. I love to travel. It would be like a permanent vacation.
Yeah.
Always room up.
Unit 4, Business, the Art of Marketing in a Global Culture. Take the unit test. Listen to each question. Circle the letter of the correct answer. 1.
What does the speaker suggest is the main cause of globalization?
2.
Which of the following topics doesn't the speaker address?
3.
Why do many TV series have near universal appeal?
4.
How does the speaker feel about pop-up windows on Internet sites?
5.
Why is the media a powerful marketing tool?
6.
Why does the speaker mention that nations' governments are acting in unison on certain issues?
7.
How are the terms global and local sometimes each described?
8.
What are the terms high context and low context used to describe?
9.
What does the case of Campbell's soups illustrate?
10.
What is the lecture mainly about?
Unit 4, Business, the Art of Marketing in a Global Culture. Page 40. Extend the topic. Part A.
One question I frequently find myself asking marketing professionals is, when does culture influence consumer purchasing decisions?
That's a tough question, and one we've researched pretty thoroughly.
And?
Well, it seems that culture-based differences show up when information is processed quickly, spontaneously. If, for instance, you pass a roadside billboard, chances are you'll be influenced by advertising that appeals to your particular culture. However, if you have time to think about information more, say looking at a website, then cultural factors play a much smaller role.
Interesting. So, how did you conduct your research?
Well, we asked some American and Asian students to give their reactions to advertisements for a brand of juice. Half of the ads promoted the benefits of drinking the juice. The other half positioned juice as a preventative, as something you could drink in order to avoid health problems.
And the results?
Well, they were very informative. When giving their immediate reactions to the ads, the Asians preferred the preventative message, the ad that portrayed the juice as helpful in avoiding health problems. Meanwhile, the Americans preferred the promotional message, the benefits of juice. In contrast, when both groups had time to think about the message, they had the same reactions to the two ads.
So why the difference in their immediate reactions?
Well, it seems that Americans focus on the positive effects of purchasing decisions because they value achievement and independent thinking. Asians, on the other hand, focus on the negative consequences of their purchasing decisions. This is because they value protection and security and have more interdependent ways of viewing the world. So it really is culturally based.
End of CD1. The audio program continues on CD2.